Hi, it's me, Farmer J, and welcome back to episode 4 of our complete beginner's guide to Farming Simulator. Graduation Day. At the end of this episode, you should know all of the basics you need to know to be able to take your farm and keep it growing from here. Don't mind me, I'm just at the gas station across the street from the farm, which is where you fuel up your tractors, by the way. And I'm buying a case of Bale Light to celebrate at the end of the video. There are a couple of topics we're going to cover in this video, or look at. We're going to have one more look at contracts. I picked up a contract between episodes and it worked. A harvest contract. I also picked up 2 more, and they're not looking nearly as promising. One of the ones I picked up involved selling our goods by train, and I thought that was something important you should know about and know how to do. As well as, in this video, we're going to look at, we've got money to buy one more field. I found a pretty good deal. We're going to look at what to plant, how not to get ahead of yourself, make sure you know how to research the equipment you're buying, plus we're going to look at lime and plowing, because we need to get rid of the lime and plowing state in the fields we own. We'll look at loans, whether they're worth it. And finally, we'll look at greenhouses as an introduction to production chains. And then we will look at what to do with all the grains we've harvested. So, let's take a quick look at the menu again for contracts. As you can see, because I saved, it refreshed the contract menu. We've now got a cultivating contract available to us. We do have a cultivator, but it's field 11 and it's all the way up here, and it's a fairly big field, so it's going to take us a while to do. For a measly $1,700, I don't think it's worth the time. Fertilizing contracts we've already done. And there are a couple more spraying contracts that popped up. Now, as far as the contract that worked for me, it was harvesting oats and taking them to the cereal factory. It was a field with no weeds in it, and it was 50% fertilized. So I don't know if that's what made the difference or not, but that's a possibility. As far as bugged contracts go, I did get a message back from Giants saying they're aware of the issue, and again, it will be fixed in the next patch according to them. So, the first contract I picked up, as I told you, was harvest wheat in field 52 and take it to Goldcrest Valley. Now, to get to Goldcrest Valley, you need the train. We'll go into that in a minute. The second contract I picked up was the same as the other one that worked, which was harvest oats in field 36 and take the product to the cereal factory. Well, let's have a look at field 36. I've got my tractor down here. I had the combine all the way over here too. And let's get out and take a look. Well, field 36, and as you can see from the mini-map, we are in field 36. It is not a field of oats, it's a field of potatoes. So there is no way we're going to be able to complete that contract. So we will go ahead and we will get rid of that from the list right now. Cancel. Yes. We didn't do anything, so we get $0. Let's clear that mission off. And now we just have the harvesting with the train mission. looking at our big map, where I had to take the grains to was the train station over here on the right side of the map, Grain Pool East. This is all part of the bigger facility. As you can see, it's joined up to the railroad tracks. And I'll turn on the help menu so we can see what's going on. If we come over here, just beside the railroad tracks, is an electrical box where we have the option to rent a train for $1,000 an hour. Yes, it's a very expensive rental, and this is why I wanted to cover that with you. What I recommend you do is you open up your main map and you wait till you see the train coming down the tracks. And when it gets to about here, that's when we'll go ahead and rent it. So I'm going to patiently wait for the train, and I'll bring you back in when the train arrives. Hopefully it won't take too long. Actually, that wasn't too bad at all. I see the train coming across the map now. Now, the reason we want to wait is the longer the train's coming down the tracks, the more we have to pay. So we're going to try and save a little bit of money on train rental costs by waiting till the train gets close. We don't want to pay any more rent than we have to, especially as the train is so expensive. All right, it's almost at the bridge. So let's go back. I can just see it coming into distance now. So we're going to go ahead and press R to rent the train. Train's rented, and it's going to be here in 200 meters. There it is. Excuse me. The train will pull up and stop. And when it's stopped, we can climb on board. Start the engine. And we've got the first hopper selected. So we're going to press N to open the cover. And we're going to back up to the loading point. You don't want to go too fast because the train does have very weak brakes on it. There we go. Press R to start. Whoa, stop. R to start filling. And we've got 10,000 liters of grain to sell. It's not going to be a huge harvest, so we probably won't make that much money, if anything, if the mission even completes. So what you do with the train next is you drive it down the tracks, and there, you'll get a pop-up asking you if you want the train to sell loaded goods at Goldcrest Valley. Yes, we do. See, it failed. We only got a 25% transportation for Field 52. It's really annoying. But anyway, I've done train missions with potatoes, with sugar beets, and a couple of other products, and they work. So it's just the grain products that seem to be bugged right now. Now, I did save the game, so I'm going to reload so we don't lose money, because if we go ahead and try and collect this mission right now, we're only at 89%. And if we hit cancel, are you sure you want to cancel and lose all your payment? You'll see how much money we lose. Oh, actually, we're not going to lose anything, so maybe I won't cancel it. The last time I did this mission and it failed like this, I lost $60,000. Collect. So we're fine. Okay, we didn't lose anything. All right. As I said, we have a decent amount of money, and I found a field that's a pretty good price based on the money we have, and it's a good size. It's bigger than all our other fields. It's field 50. It's full of oats. And it's only $114,000. Compare that to, let's say, field 70, which is $750,000. Start small, grow big. That's the way to go. So we're going to buy that field. Yes. Press X to get out of there. And I've already got the harvester placed because I knew what we were going to do. So let's hop in our harvester. Turn it on. And what I recommend doing in this field is something called taking out your headlands or your end rows. Basically what that means is you work the ends of the fields first so that your combine has room to turn, or any tractor for that matter. If you remember some of our other missions, the telephone poles or the trees would interfere and the combine would stop short. By taking out our end rows, it gives the combine room to work. And this is actually going back to what we talked about, how the combine will back into the neighbor's field. If you take out your end rows first, it should also give it room not to back into the neighbor's fields. We're not too worried about this field even if we had crop destruction on, because the seed hasn't germinated yet. So we'll do this end. 2 rows at each end should be enough. If you've got a big combine, when you have lots of money, 1 push should be enough at each end of the field. So we'll just stop that, and then we'll go down the field. And when we get to the other end, we'll take out the end rows at the other end of the field. And then we're going to leave it to harvest the rest of the field. While it's harvesting the rest of the field, we're going to run back to field 36 and we're going to pick up our tractor. That's actually the first time I've seen that, where it tells you to go to a field and the crop is actually different. So that's yet another bug I reported to Giants. Because I don't think, let me just double check. Yeah, there's not a lot of room at the end of this field, so that's why we wanted to take out the other headland too. Now, while we're waiting on this, we'll talk about loans. We still have $40,000, which is enough to buy a couple of things if we needed to, or buy something if we needed to. Now, I did a test, and I took out a $10,000 loan, and it charged us $28 a day in interest. That's not too bad for a small loan, but if we're taking out $100,000, you can see how that would be quite a bit more money. And it would be charging us $280 per day or month, because seasons are on, until we reach the point where we are selling enough stuff that we can repay the loan. You want to get rid of loans as quick as possible. Yeah, if we hadn't taken out that end row, it would have hit that tree, no problem. And it would have been confused. Alright, I'm going to go pick up the tractor and I'll be back in a second. Alright, the combine is at 98%. I'm going to unload it now because I don't want it turning around and starting a new row, which would mean the pipe would be on the other side, which would mean we'd have to drive into the crop to be able to unload the combine. Not a big deal because we don't have crop destruction on right now, but if you did have it on, then it would be a problem. So let's tab back to our John Deere 7810 and we'll pull up and we'll fill the trailer. I would like to buy a bigger trailer, but that's not top of my priority list right now. While that's unloading, let's have a quick look at the prices menu. So oats. The best price for oats is $2,048 per 1,000 liters at the cereal factory. That's one of the better prices I've seen, regardless of the season. As you can see by the production chart, it should only go up from here, but I've rarely seen it get much higher than 2,000. So we're going to go ahead and sell our oats right off the bat. It's one of the few times I recommend doing it. You'll get a better feel for when to sell and when not to sell the more you play the game. So while we're driving to the cereal factory, we'll put the combine back on so it can finish the rest of the field. The cereal factory, we'll tag it like we did before. You can see it flashing on the map. It's over here. So I'm going to drive to the cereal factory while the combine drives all over our field. There's the big green of light. Big green beam of light. I will see you over at the cereal factory. Alright, here we are at the Elm Creek cereal factory, ready to sell our oats. Cereal factory is right next to the beautiful Elm Creek Wolves baseball stadium. So we'll pull up to the sell point. There we go, and we'll go ahead and we'll sell our first load. Now, as you can see by the little wrench icon in front of us, that means this is a production point. We can purchase that later as part of the production chains. Don't do that till you have lots of money. Let's just check the price. Oh, I'm stuck. There we go. So we made 16,000 off that first load of oats. Yeah, the cereal factory is 110,000. So A, we don't have the money for it, and B, we don't really have the products yet to take advantage of the cereal factory. Now, just be warned, unlike, say, the grain mill, unlike some of the other sell points, the fact that the cereal factory is part of a production chain means it has limited capabilities to accept products. So if you've got a really big field or you've harvested several fields and you go to the cereal factory to sell and all of a sudden it stops and you've still got half a trailer full, that's because you've hit the capacity of the cereal factory. And then you might need to take the rest of your oats to the farmer's market or somewhere like that. So we'll finish harvesting this field. I'll sell off the rest of the oats. And then we should be ready to start a new day. And that will be the last day we play through. Or probably the last day we play through. while I think about it, now's probably a good time to talk about what I meant by A, getting to know your equipment, and B, not getting ahead of yourself. If we go back into the vehicle sales, there is actually a very nice seeder which is on sale for 68% off, $34,000. We could afford that, but we're not going to buy it right now. The reason I like the seeder is because it can carry seed and it can carry fertilizer. So it does double duty. If you read the description at the top, and this is what I meant by saying, learn what your machines do. So this can do the same seeding as the seeder we have. Additionally, the seeder offers the possibility to seed directly. That means you don't need to cultivate the field or plow it beforehand. It can just seed straight in. So that's why I would like it. And secondly, it's about 3 extra meters wider than the seeder we have. But we have more important things to spend our money on. And we'll get to those tomorrow. So I'll see you soon. Alright, so the harvest is done. The oats are sold, and that brought us back up to just under $70,000. If we have a look at our silo, we have the 6,000 roughly liters of canola left in there, and the 3,600 or 3,700 liters of wheat. The wheat we're not going to sell because we want to keep that for animals. Specifically, when we have enough of it, we're going to get into chickens. So if you go to, again, press P, go to the bottom tab in construction, we want to go over to the animals tab, and it'll show you all the different options you have available for animals. So cows, we have a basic pasture starting at $75,000. We can't afford that, nor do we have the proper feed for them. They take total mixed ration, hay, grass, and water. Horses, oats, sorghum, and grass, as well as water. If you buy a proper stable or a barn, water is plumbed in and you don't need to buy it. Pigs take a lot of product, and when you have a big enough farm, pigs reproduce really quickly, and it's a good way of making money. Sheep are fairly simple, but we don't have any grass fields yet. So let's look at chickens. Chickens in the basic pen, or even the next one up, they take wheat, oats, and sorghum. So they're the simplest to feed. So what we're going to do tomorrow is we're going to make sure we plant some more wheat so that when we do have chickens, we'll have enough feed in our silo to be able to carry the chickens from one harvest to the next. The amount of wheat we have would probably only carry them 1, maybe 2 months, tops. Now, the other thing we have to look at tomorrow is getting rid of this needs lime, needs plowing. Let's look at our menu. So if we select need plowing, this field, and this field all need plowing. We can't plow 46 because it's got a crop in it, but 45 and 44 we can plow. And as far as lime goes, all our fields need lime. So let's sleep through the night, and then we will take a look at what our various options are. I have a feeling I jumped the gun a little bit by buying that big field because I forgot about the lime. As you can see, the night passes fairly quickly, and it should be 8 a.m. There we go, 8 a.m. The property maintenance cost is just for our silos and other buildings. As you can see, our fields have oilseed radish in them, which is ready to harvest now. And let's just check our far field, which was the canola. And that's at stage 1. It needs lime, and it also needs weeding. So again, this goes back to what I was talking about getting to know your equipment. The first thing we're going to do is we need a plow. We don't need a very big plow. And we're only going to need it once, because once we've removed that plowing state, unless we plant corn, sugar beet, potatoes, or sugar cane, we won't need to plow again. This plow requires 160 horsepower, so both of our tractors could pull it. Let's look at the details. As I said, because we only need it once, we're going to lease it. Yes. Now, the other thing we need to get rid of the lime state is we need a lime spreader. And we're also going to need a fertilizer spreader at some point to add our second harvest of, or our second layer of fertilizer, because all fields need 2 fertilizer states. The oilseed radish will give us our first, and the second we will have to apply by hand. Now, what about the trick I showed you guys with taking on a fertilizing contract and being able to do multiple fields with the same piece of equipment? Well, the game's a little bit smarter than that. It'll let you do multiple fields for contracts, but the moment you try and use, as you saw the error message pop up, as soon as you try and use a piece of equipment that's used for contracts on your own fields or somebody else's field that's not under contract, it won't let you do anything. That's why we need our own equipment. So we've got a basic fertilizer spreader here. It holds a decent amount. It's a decent price. And it's got a nice spread width. Problem is, it doesn't hold lime. So we need something like this that does both fertilizer and lime. Lime we only need to do every 3 seasons, but fertilizer we will need to do anywhere from once to twice a year, depending on whether we plant oilseed radish. The other thing is we could use this fertilizer spreader for contracts because we will now have our own equipment. So let's go ahead and look at this one. We're not going to add an extension to it yet. And let's see how much adding the 6-meter spreading discs cost. $8,000. We can always take that back to the store later on and add that. Right now, I think the $8,000 would be better spent on lime. So since this is a piece of equipment we're going to use on a regular basis, we're going to go ahead and actually buy it. It's not going to leave us a lot of money, but we should be okay. If we have to take out a small loan, we take out a small loan. And we need to buy some lime too. Lime is fairly cheap. Our fields aren't that big. So I think we should get away with 4 bags of lime. It's only going to cost us $1,000. Buy. Yes. So we'll do the lime first. I'm going to take a small tractor over to pick up the lime spreader. Excuse me. Because this will have plenty of power to pull the lime spreader. Disconnect the trailer. Excuse me again. As far as the weeds go, they're in stage 1. I will be doing a full video on weed control later on, but we'll just cover the basics for now. I don't know if you noticed that white field back there. That was a field that never got harvested in time, so the crops are withered. That means whoever owns that field lost their crop and is going to have to plow it in. So there's our plow, and there's our 4 bags of lime. So we'll just get close. And if you remember, we press R. And it will start the filling process. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to lime a backfield first so that we can start cultivating the oilseed radish in, and I can show you the fertilization state. This video is already over half an hour, so I'm gonna put you guys on pause for right now, and I'll bring you back in when we've done a little bit of work. Alright, very quickly, the fields that have needed to be plowed have been plowed. The difference between a cultivator and a plow is a plow digs down deep and completely turns the soil over, whereas a cultivator basically turns the topsoil over, preparing it for the next harvest. In real life on the farm, what we used to do was plow and then give it a quick cultivation to smooth out the soil bed. As you can see, it's fairly rough. In the game, you don't need to do that. And as you can see, as we're driving over, we're kind of bouncing all over the place. That's because it's plowed. Whereas we're going to quickly go take a look at the cultivated field. And as you can see, that's very smooth. So looking at our main map, you can see we've removed the plowing state from these 3 fields. They now count as plowed, and they also count as fertilized, the first stage, because we put in oilseed radish. So let me hop back in the tractor. I'm going to return the plow. and then we're going to lime the fields. And then fertilize. I'll show you liming. Fertilizing is exactly the same thing. You just need to fill the spreader with different with fertilizer as opposed to lime. If we have leftover lime, great. We can always press the I key and put our leftover lime somewhere safe in storage, so we have it for the next time we need it. Lime only has about a 15-meter spreading width, I think. Oh, we're missing a little bit, so I'll just back up. It has a 50-meter spreading width if I'd put those extra spreaders on. So just, you can't play it by ear. We'll let the worker do his thing, and as you can see, we're now liming the field. It wouldn't let us lime the field when there was crops in it. That's why we cultivated the oilseed radish first. The lime will disappear, or the white will disappear when we go ahead and we seed this field. So when it's time to seed the field, I'll bring you guys in. Like I said, we've got a lot to cover, and we're definitely running over time. And as you'll notice, I have done while it was plowing, because plowing takes a little bit. I did a few quick contracts to make some extra money to cover what we need. Alright, see you in a few. Sorry about that. I had to step away from the computer for a few minutes and take care of a rather urgent matter. And it took longer than I thought, and now I've kind of lost my train of thought. I believe, well, I know we were wrapping things up. I wanted to show you greenhouses to get you through the winter to help generate some extra income, and also bees. So what we're going to do is we're going to send this tractor to the dealership because we will need one piece of equipment. So we'll start that. Away he goes. We'll get out. Oh, and look, we got deer in the yard. Okay, so as I was saying, we're going to place 2 greenhouses in our farm. To do that, we open up the purchase window. We go to construction, and we want productions. Scroll across to greenhouses, and we're going to place 2 medium greenhouses. Now you can see the yellow rectangular boxes. That is where our product is going to appear from. So I want to line this up with the edge here. I'm not going to put one on the other side of the silo, because, and I need to make sure I leave enough room to get the water trailer in. But I'm not going to put one on the other side of the silo because at some point we will need to put in a silo extension. And I don't want to intrude on our field. Could put one here. Okay, well, we'll do with one greenhouse because I just want to show you the process for now. And the other thing we're going to place is a beehive. We can afford the larger beehive because it generates the most honey. So we'll put one here. We'll put another one over. No, we won't put another one over there. We do need to place the spawn point for the beehives, because we need to know where we're picking the honey up from. Now this doesn't have to be within range of the beehive. If you look, the beehive says, actually doesn't mention here, but this beehive has a range of 150 meters. What that means is that it will the bees will pollinate in the fields up to 150 meters away from. I know where we're going to put this. We're going to put this just on the other side in our new field. Going back to the distance again, 150 meters. It means the bees will pollinate crops up to 150 meters away from the beehive. And what you'll get is certain crops like canola and potatoes that are flowering crops. The bees will actually pollinate them and give you an extra yield. I forget what the exact percentage is, but it's definitely worth having a beehive. So let's go over to the dealership. There we are. We'll start up our tractor. And we need to buy a water tanker. This is why I didn't want to spend all our money. Hopefully we can get it for 19,000. Because we need water for our greenhouse before we can start any productions. Water tankers are found under animals, because they're also used to, there we go, so 9,000, we're fine. You're going to be using this a lot, so I recommend you buy it. We'll go with wide tires. And we'll go ahead and fill it with water. Because I've used up most of our money, what we're going to do is, rather than buy water from the pumping station on our farm, we're just going to quickly drive down and back up into the pond here. Now, I don't believe this pond is so deep that you'll get the vehicle stuck like you would in some rivers. Press R to start filling. And here we go, free water. I recommend you watch my video on where to get free water from, because it'll show you all the locations on the maps, including this one, Bale and Erlingrad, in case you want to start a greenhouse on those maps. So let me fill the trailer. We'll go back, I'll fill the greenhouse, and then we'll go from there. So here we are back at the greenhouse. Press I to unload our water, and while that's unloading, we can now go ahead and start production on the greenhouse. We can either go into the greenhouse by ourselves, click to open the door, open this door, and we can click. For some reason it's not letting me through the door. There we go, I had to crouch down. We can press R to activate the wrench, or if we go into our main menu, you'll now see under production chains, we have our very first production chain, which is the greenhouse. For now, I recommend you start out with any one of them, doesn't matter. We'll start out with tomatoes because they grow fairly quickly. So we'll activate that. And you'll see that 28 units of water generate 28 units of tomatoes. Lettuce takes 28 water for 14 lettuces. So it doesn't produce quite the same amount of lettuce, but lettuce is worth twice the amount that tomatoes are, so it all works out in the wash. Same with strawberries. You'll end up getting the same amount of money. So we've activated it. We're producing tomatoes. We want to, if you look on the right here, by highlighting tomatoes, you'll see it says we're storing. That means pallets will appear. For now, just go ahead and change the output to selling, and it will automatically sell each pallet when they're ready. If you change it to storing, then we have to deal with loading pallets when they become available and they appear here. This trailer, you can convert it. If we look in the store under trailers, it's the very first trailer we have. You can take it back to the shop and hit customize. And then the configuration, you can turn it into a bale trailer. So that will either take bales when you harvest straw next fall, or it will take pallets. You can just stack the pallets on top by hand. You don't need a tractor to do it. You can stack the pallets on ready for storage. You've also got your pickup truck. Depending on how quickly you're producing pallets, it'll take 2 to 4 pallets. And then you just drive those to wherever the selling points are. Let's just have a quick look at who's buying, say, tomatoes. The fast food restaurant, the grocery mart, the farmer's market, and the bowling restaurant all buy produce. The only difference is strawberries, where the bakery takes strawberries to make cakes. And we'll learn more about that when we get into productions later on. So, there's your farm up and running. We don't have a lot of money left right now, but fall isn't finished yet, and there are still plenty of contracts to do. I recommend doing those. We have 4 fields growing right now, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th one, number 50, I'm gonna plant in the spring with sorghum. So I hope you found these series of videos useful and that they've helped you get your farm up and running. I'm considering turning this into an ongoing video series, not so much as a tutorial process, but just turning it into a Let's Play series where once a week or twice a week we play this map with this equipment and this farm, and we see how big we can grow the farm and what equipment we will need next. If that sounds like something you're interested in, definitely let me know in the comments. And again, thank you for watching. Take care and stay safe.